All right, welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast, and I am here this week with a very special guest, the legendary artist, Mr. Ron Rudat. Ron, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you, and it was great for the fans here in the New England area to see you at the New England Fan Fest this past year, and such a rich history that you have in the world of artistry and your ties with Hasbro, and we'll kind of dive into that. But rewinding a little bit, growing up as a kid, what were some of your hobbies? What were some of the toy lines that you were interested in?
I didn't have very many toys when I was growing up. There were no figures at the time, so yeah, the only thing I used to play was out in the woods with some of my friends. We'd play army and hide down each other in the woods and use sticks for guns and all that kind of stuff. And otherwise, I really didn't have anything to really play with.
Well, that's what it was all about. I mean, imagination at that time, even growing up as a kid for me, you could do that, where now I feel like the new generation, with social media and cell phones, they're kind of not doing those types of things. So it's nice to hear.
I used to go up in my room a lot, and I'd sit up at my desk and just draw. That was things I used to do quite a bit.
Now, what was your first experience working with Hasbro? How did that come about? And leading up to that, some of your work history.
Well, my first experience with Hasbro, they came to my art school. I was hired right out of school. I worked in the art department for 7 years, and I worked on various different projects. I worked on the 12-inch figures a little bit, packaging, doing instructional art for the figures. I worked on Weebles Wobble, They Don't Fall Down. I did some of the graphics on that. It's hard to say. I can't remember everything I worked on there. But after 7 years in the art department, marketing asked me if I wouldn't mind going over to research and development. And I said, sure. What do you pay me? So it was an upgrade in pay. And I went right over. So
now, when they asked you initially to get involved with the G.I. Joe project,
yeah,
what was your initial reaction when you're used to the G.I. Joes that are doll size? Now
right.
we're going into the smaller guys. What was your reaction when you first saw the sizing?
It didn't bother me that much. Hasbro saw, or the marketing people saw, that Star Wars was doing very well at a small size, and so they decided to compete against Star Wars and do the 3 3/4 inch size, and I really didn't mind that much. I really enjoy the military. Always loved the military. That is one of the reasons I think they selected me to work on Joe. And plus, I was the only guy doing any kind of figure work at Hasbro. And it just took off from there.
And when bringing these characters to life, per se, How many GI Joe characters would you say that you created in figure form, or roughly?
I roughly designed 120 GI Joe figures um, from 1982 to mid '87. I did all the drivers. I did the line. All, every figure in the line. I did the graphics. I just about did everything.
And what was your memories of Stanley Weston? What was his role within the company and dealing
Uh,
with him over the years?
I never dealt with Stanley Weston, so I wouldn't know.
And how long did it take roughly to design each figure, just from thought process to on paper to actually getting it out?
Well, we would have brainstorm meetings, and we'd have a group of people, marketing, me and several others, and we would discuss what we were looking for. And we just wrote down, you know, notes of what they were. I go back to my desk and just start sketching. Uh, I would do 6, 7 different sketches of figures, and then we would get together again, and I put my sketches up on the wall, and they would decide, or no, what pair of legs or what pair of arms or faces or whatever needed to go on a figure, and I just take all those suggestions and put it together and do a rough sketch or a final sketch of it. It's a process. It's hard to say. After a final sketch was done, then I get that approved. Then I would do sculpture input. I do all the color work. Uh, I do the costing. Uh, yeah, it took a while to just to get a figure done, but it wasn't just one figure I was working on. So uh, I had like 10 or 11 different figures I had to do. So Hasbro's always a year ahead uh, on their figure line, and I probably say about 7 months, I guess, to work on a figure line,
Wow.
and then it would all my information would go over to Asia and be manufactured over there. Um, I'd gather all my stuff later on. I would gather all my information I had, sculpture input and colors, and I would give a copy to sculpting department. Marketing would get a copy. Asia would get a copy, and then Marvel would get a copy. So from what I designed at Marvel, Larry Hama came up with the bios and the storylines. So he basically brought my figures to life.
Wow, that's fantastic. There's really a lot that goes into it, and it's interesting to learn that because you just don't know the steps of how it all comes to life like that. And is that something that you were able to do at all from home, or were you all in the headquarters at that time?
Well, yeah, I mean, I worked strictly at Hasbro, but there were deadlines to me, and I would bring work home, and I would work on it at home. and then bring it back the next day. So, yeah.
And what would you say is the toughest part of bringing a character to life or creating a GI Joe?
Toughest part. Oh, well, it wasn't too tough, really. I have a lot of reference here at my home on different militaries, through history, and sometimes I would take from those references and use them in a figure. Um, I also was a Civil War reenactor at one point, and some of my Civil War accoutrements would end up on a figure, like a U.S. buckle or a CS buckle or uh, a kepi or something like that would end up on a figure. Of course, Star Wars was very helpful. I had a book on Star Wars, and I would look at various different things that they did, like a helmet, and I'd take a helmet and just maybe change it a little bit, so it doesn't look like theirs. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of different influences. Movies influenced me too. So, uh, World War II, uh, today's military. Yeah.
And what was it like seeing the characters come to life in a cartoon form, and knowing that you created a lot of these guys?
Well, I tell you, I never watched cartoons, and I don't think I've ever seen the series at all. I know it was done by Sunbow, and it was very interesting, what they did, but I never watched them.
And dare I say, out of 120 plus, characters, was there a favorite that you created?
That's the big question. Everybody asks me that. Every convention I go to, they ask you, "What's your favorite figure?" And I'll tell everybody they're all my favorite figures. I created every one of those figures, and no specific ones in mind. You know, uh, there are figures I like, but none of them are my favorites.
And spending a lot of time at the Hasbro headquarters over the years, why don't you just kind of give us a quick, run of what it looked like on the inside of Hasbro and what kind of departments there were and day to day action there?
Oh my goodness! All the departments within Hasbro. My little cubicle. Uh, I'm trying to remember where it was. I think I was right behind the what we call the terror drome. That's where they do the presentations, and my little cubicle was behind that, right next to a window, and I actually moved around a couple of times. So, uh, yeah, from there, I became a senior designer, and I was moved out in the hallway next to my boss's office, and I was there for a while. Um, but working at Hasbro, when we were there, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun working with the guys I worked with. The whole team, the whole GI Joe team was just out of this world, and it's nothing like that today. So, uh, but within Hasbro, we were next to the art department and packaging. Play school was down the hall, uh, across the other side of the building. I forgot what the name they called out. Games was over there. Um, and another department did this specialty type things. Like um, I created one Star Wars figure. Uh, but yeah, and the main offices were right across the street, so we can go over there anytime. But we started out across the street. It was a um, old A&P building,
Oh,
a market, you know, and our offices were originally there. That's where the 3 3/4 inch GI Joes started from, and it was a small department at the time. I don't think we had probably 20 or so people working over there, and marketing was there, and management, R&D management, and designers and sculptors were there. Uh, and then we got moved over to 1027 Newport Avenue, the big factory building. And that's when I ended up with the cubicle. And yeah, it was way, way different than it is today. Uh, it was a good time.
yeah. You still keep in contact with any of your fellow employees?
Um, Not really. I don't see anybody at all. Uh, I used to be in contact with Kurt Bazigian, who was Boys Toys manager at the time. Uh, I don't see him much anymore. Um, I just bumped into a woman that I used to work with. Uh, Her name's Laurie Dahlberg. And yeah, I ran into her down at Lowe's, and she helped him with something. And it was great seeing her. Uh, our old secretary has been calling me.
Oh,
Now, that's Mary Lapham, and she's like 92 years old now. And she's been calling me just to say hi. Uh, but I can't think of anyone else that I really see, except once a year. Recently, since last year, a good portion of the design team uh, and marketing show up. We go to a convention in Dallas, Texas, and a lot of those guys show up.
oh wow.
Uh, the designer after me showed up, Mark Pennington, and the one after him, Kurt Groen, showed up. So
A reunion of sorts.
yeah, so I see them once a year.
And did you have any involvement in Beyond the Figures in creation of vehicles or accessories or anything?
Yeah, well, all the figures had accessories, of course, all the weapons and everything, backpacks. I worked on those as well, and yeah, I did several vehicles. Uh, I did the Fang. I did the Moray. Uh, it, it's so hard to think of what I had worked on. Uh, Triple T for Sergeant Slaughter. Uh, yeah, I offhand I really can't think of anything else. No.
And what are your thoughts on the announcement of Hasbro relocating to the Boston area?
Not much.
Yeah.
Uh, Hasbro's only 7 miles from my house. Uh, I don't know. They've been there for 100 years basically, and now they're moving out of Pawtucket. Uh, a lot of people losing their jobs, but I guess they want to be seen more or whatever, the company. So they're moving down to the seaport area of Boston. Uh, yeah, I don't think about it too much.
Yeah. It'll
They
be
don't,
sad to see them go.
huh?
It'll be sad to see them go. They've been such a staple in the area for so long.
Yeah, it'll be sad to see them go, but like I say, they don't think of me, so I don't think of them.
Right. Right.
So,
So when it comes to real characters, how did some of the real characters get involved in the line, like Sergeant Slaughter, William the Refrigerator Perry? How did that come about?
well, that came about through marketing, and yeah, well, Sergeant Slaughter showed up one day, and um, he said he drove around Pawtucket in his camouflage Cadillac, and to see if he can get people to recognize him. And then he parked out in front of our building, and yeah, so then he came in. Is what's his name? Ronald Remus.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Or Robert Remus, sorry.
Robert Remus. Yeah, and he came in, and we talked to him, and you know he he was kind of, I guess, getting tired of WWF and wanted to pursue uh, other avenues of work. And yeah, so they made him a hero at Hasbro. And ever since, I've bumped into Robert probably 3 or 4 times at different cons I go to. And the last one was in June at Joe Fest. And yeah, it's funny because I was outside smoking, of course, and my wife come running out to me and said, Sergeant Slaughter wants to see you. And I said, what? Uh, what's he want to see me for? And he was at the bar having a drink with some friends, and so they brought me in there, and yeah, no, he just proceeded to tell me he thanked me for uh, you know doing his figure, and then I kind of saved his career a little bit, by having uh, the appearance of Joe, and it was pretty cool. He's a really nice guy, real sweet guy. So
And William the Refrigerator Perry, he's another one. It seemed like a random choice, but he was so popular at the time, I guess.
yeah, but I never ran into him though. He never came to Hasbro.
Ah.
Uh, he was a mail away figure, I believe, and I think that had something to do with marketing doing that. So,
Who would you say the most popular character was over the years, whether it be determined by sales or the fans?
oh, that's hard to say. I wouldn't know by sales, uh, but Snake Eyes, I would imagine, is probably one of the most popular figures that we did. I think that's kind of slowly gone away, but for a long, long time, it was Snake Eyes. and Storm Shadow.
Oh yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to prototypes in the world of toys, how many prototypes usually come through for GI Joe? Back then.
Uh, Not many. We'd have a prototype of every figure. Uh, One of my jobs on the prototype was I did the paint masters too, and yeah, I would just get one of each, or I think I had to paint actually two. Uh, we kept one of them, and then the other one was sent to Orient. Uh, but I very seldom saw payment. Sometimes, there'd be a paint mask or a prototype, and it would be thrown away afterwards.
Sure.
That's when you go dumpster diving.
Right. Now, was there ever a concept in your eyes that you realized, I think this is going to be big. This is going to do great. And for whatever reason, that particular figure or vehicle just didn't follow through.
I can't think of anything about the vehicles. We had a bunch of guys that worked on vehicles, so I wouldn't know. Uh,
And do you remember your first experience seeing these figures that you brought to life in the stores on the shelves?
oh yeah, yeah. I remember going to Toys R Us and one whole shelving unit was filled with GI Joes. It's not like that anymore, but it was just amazing. I should have probably bought some of that stuff, but I didn't. Uh, you kind of wait for it to be given to you, you
Sure.
know, and that's not going to happen. So,
Right. Now, there were a couple figures, I believe, that were made to resemble you or have your likeness. If you can go into detail on that.
well, there's only one that resembles me, and that's what people call me all the time. So, um, the figure I resemble is on the package, and it's Leatherneck, and yeah, I kind of like that because, uh, like I've always said, my dad was a Marine at one time, and I try to put as many Marines into the line as I could, and yeah, you look on the pack, you'll see my face on the package, and with dark hair. So, uh, and the other figure is Dusty.
Right.
And Dusty's a desert trooper, and he's got my last name backwards on his uniform.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
Yeah, so if you look at Dusty on above his pocket is Tatter, Tadur.
Wow.
That's my last name backwards.
Huh.
And I think the file card also is Ronald W. Tatter.
That's great.
Uh, couldn't use my full name because my middle name's A. So uh, yeah,
That's great. That's a good story. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
And then, of course, you played a major role with the WWF Hasbro figures, pro wrestling.
yeah.
Why don't you tell us some of the superstars that you were responsible for
Oh,
creating there?
it's hard to remember. I know I worked on Sergeant Slaughter's. Uh, who else? Oh, the Owen brothers. Uh, Andre the Giant, I think. It's hard for me to remember if I did, unless I have something in front of me.
And you mentioned that there's, when it comes to creating the figures, is there a lot of freedom? Obviously, you said that things have to be finalized and whatnot, but how
Well,
is the freedom?
there was a lot of freedom to work on the figures I was working on, just creating what I wanted to create. Um, yeah, they let me have kind of free reign to do what I wanted on the figure. That worked out pretty well. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, no one told me what to do. I just did it.
Sure.
You know?
And when it came to the WWF superstars, did you ever have any interactions with them, throughout the Hasbro headquarters over the years?
Uh, what's Owen Hart's brother?
Bret the Hitman Hart.
Brett. Okay, well, I guess they came in one day, about two or three of them, and Bret Hart came to my office and he did a little cartoon for me and left it on my desk because I wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of cool. And then Texas Tornado. Uh, I brought my son in with me, my youngest son with me, and uh, Texas Tornado took my son and put him up on his shoulders and walked around with him.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we went to WrestleMania 10, I believe, in New York City,
Yep.
and I got to meet some of the wrestlers there. Uh, they also were at another, uh, I don't know, engagement or whatever in Providence, and we got to meet some of those guys of the Bushwhackers and I forgot all the other guys. I'm not a wrestling fan, so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to remember those guys.
Right. And where are some of the conventions that you have traveled to over the years, or some of the cities that you've traveled to?
Well, it's funny. I get invited to the South all the time. Uh, we've been to Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, uh, Kentucky, of course, Dallas, uh, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Uh, I'm going to Iowa uh, next month. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of different places that I go to. I haven't been invited to the West Coast yet. Uh, I don't know if I want to go out there because it's such a long flight.
Yeah.
Uh, but most of the time it's down south. Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yep.
Uh,
And you mentioned Joe Fest. Is that pretty much the granddaddy of them all?
I would say for GI Joe, yeah, it's one of the biggest ones to go to. It's in Augusta, Georgia, and it's all GI Joe. Everywhere you go, these guys they get together and they make new friends and they talk GI Joe all the time. And yeah, so yeah, we got a lot of friends down there now. Uh, Also, DFW show is starting to be a really good show to go to as well in Dallas. And I think both are. The one in Dallas has a new venue there, and I think that's going to work out for them pretty well. It's way bigger, and the one in Nashville isn't GI Joe. It's a Star Wars convention, and we've been invited there 6 times so far.
Wow.
I'm the only G.I. Joe guy there.
Well,
It's
you've got experience everywhere, you know?
yeah, yeah, but yeah, nothing.
It's
We've been trying to go to some local ones here, so we can just drive there ourselves, and you know, but they have to be 2 day shows. I can't do a 1 day show somewhere.
yeah,
You know, like I've been asked to go up to New Hampshire, and a couple of times. It's a long drive for a 1 day show.
right.
Uh, but I've done several around the area. I did a wrestling show, and I got to meet some of the new wrestlers that are coming up. Matt Cardona, uh, I guess he's a big wrestling fan and a collector of wrestling
Yes.
figures, and he's got some of my drawings.
Yeah. Why don't you mention talk about that a little bit? See, you've kind of gone beyond to now work on Heels and Faces, which of course is Zombie Sailor Toys,
Yeah.
and you're doing exactly what you did with Hasbro. Um, what's that process like? Been working with them?
Well, no, working with them is fine. I think I've done every figure in his line, and well, he'll send me a figure and say, I want this and this and that, and it's not exactly how I worked at Hasbro. I wait, he sends me reference on who the wrestler is. Uh, so I just do a front and back of the figure. Uh, we used to do front back side. Uh, takes a long time to do. He also wants all the uh, decoration on the figure as well, and we never did that at Hasbro.
Ah,
Uh, but he'll send me a figure. I'll work on it, send it off to him, and he'll say, "Well, I got another figure for you. I got lots of more figures for you, and I'll send one to you tonight or tomorrow." A month and a half later, I get it.
right.
uh,
Now, when it comes to the old WWF Hasbro figures, fans have often asked about the two ups. Now, that would sometimes come through as part of the creative process. Why don't you explain to the fans what a two up is and where in the process that sometimes comes about?
a two-up figure is basically what it means. It's a two-up figure of the 3 3/4. So you're doing a figure that's what, close to 7 inches tall, and what they did back then was send that off to the Orient, and they would use a machine of some sort that just brings it down to that 3 3/4 inch size. But yeah, they want to see the color, they want to see the detail on the figure, you know, and and that's why you're doing a two up figure. Uh, yeah, I think it's called pantographing. I'm not positive. Yeah.
What would you say your fondest memory is over the span of your career thus far, if you had to choose one?
It's hard to say. I've been inducted into the Toy Collectors Hall of Fame. That was kind of cool. Uh, just getting to know a lot of the fans, that's a highlight. Meeting the kids at children at cons is a highlight. You know, some of the guests that I meet, like Keon Young, who is Storm Shadow in the cartoon. We're good friends now. Uh, yeah, I mean, a highlight too for me, and it's the Cobra logo. The Cobra logo is probably what I'm best known for. Uh, yeah, so I designed that piece. It came. I forgot who it was. It's one of Larry Hama's friends. Uh, they needed bad guys
Right.
in the Joe line, and his friend said, "Why don't you call it Cobra?" And Larry thought that was a great idea, so they sent it off to us. I sat down and did a whole bunch of rough sketches of different cobras, and that's how I ended up doing the one that you know we have now.
Yeah.
I wear it proudly.
So iconic. It really is.
Uh,
Now you talk about fans, meeting the fans over the years. Is there a fan interaction that sticks out that you remember, or if you were gifted something over the years, or whatever it may be?
uh, yeah, I get every now and then I'll get a gift. I've been to Mexico too. Uh, they invited us for the unpackaging show they had, and I got a couple of nice gifts from them. One of the people down there, I guess he was an artist, and he gave me a panther that's totally decorated and tiny beads, and he sent that to me. I have that. Also, a Cobra logo that he silk screened for me. Uh, there was a gentleman walking around to each person at the show, and he would sculpt that person and then give them the sculpture afterwards. I have that at home. Uh, Pit Viper Studios, who does all the helmets and everything for different characters. Um, I can show you. He gave me this.
Oh, wow.
It's a shield.
Look at that.
Oh, that one. This sits in my studio. Uh, yeah, I get various different things. I get a lot of letters too from uh, different collectors, from um, service guys who've been in the military. Uh, I have a little. I have a little book uh, with their letters in it, and I've gotten patches from different people. British SAS sent me a nice patch. Uh, I have a Greek soldier in Greece that I'm corresponding with a little bit. He wants me to go to a show next year in Greece.
Wow.
Uh, he sent me his armor patches. He's I guess he's a sergeant in the art in tanks, and yeah, he's invited me to come to Greece. I don't know if I'm going or not yet. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is your prized possession? Do you have that one piece that you've got over the years that you just cherish?
I can't think of any.
Well, you've already mentioned so many great things that you have, and you've, you know, been given or collected over the years.
Yeah. No, I suppose it's something my dad gave me, or uh, when he was in the Marine Corps. I have a stiletto knife. That was his. He said that he earned it. And my dad was in the artillery, so I don't know how he got that knife. Uh, but I cherish his stuff very very much, and I do have some other collectibles of World War II. Uh, Plus, I have I don't know. I have a militia uniform from the 1850s. Another uniform from around the 1870s. Uh, I have my muskets. I have my swords. I have my military headgear. I like real stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Now you've had your hands in a little bit of everything, and obviously we touched on the WWF, GI Joe. What other toy lines did you have involvement in, whether large or small roles?
Uh, it's hard to say. Air Raiders. I worked on Air Raiders. I did the figures for that. Uh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah,
I did the figures on that. That line didn't go through though. We never produced it. Uh, oh man, Street Fighters. I worked on Street Fighters. It's hard for me to remember.
yeah.
That's over 40 years ago.
Right, exactly. It goes by quick, that's for sure.
Yeah. Uh, Conan the Barbarian. I worked on that. Yeah. I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out what I have here. It's not too much.
Well, we touched base on the WWF Hasbro. You know, when the licensing stopped, um, originally there was going to be the Orange Card series that was coming out, and
Oh,
infamously kind of got canceled. It was supposed to have Diesel and Basham Booger, Jeff Jarrett, Men on a Mission.
yeah.
Any memory of that time period?
No, no. They they put the figures on different colored cards. I have no idea. Why did why I have no idea.
Yeah. And what advice do you have for an aspiring artist or creator trying to get into the business now?
All I can say to an aspiring artist is to keep doing artwork and keep doing it as often as you possibly can. Um, I suppose I started doing artwork because we had problems at home, and that was my way of getting away from all that. Uh, but I would I'm a workhorse. I just constantly drawing and doing things.
Yeah.
I try to be as creative as I can. When I left Hasbro, I started doing oil paintings because I that's one of the loves I have, and and it's mostly paintings of New England subjects. And I was hoping to get into a gallery and sell my work there. That didn't go over too well. I wasn't selling, and then I got asked to go to my first convention, and I did really really well there. And then I started getting commissions from people, and that was going along pretty well with it. So I'm doing better at creating Joes than I am doing fine art. So, but Yeah.
And in closing, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, geez, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm hoping that people think of me kindly and appreciate all the work that I've done over the years. Uh, it's hard to say. I know there's a lot of people that like me, but I don't know.
Well, Ron, you are a true icon in this industry, and that goes without saying. Thank you so much for all the time that you've put into, creating our childhood, really. And it's just been an honor to talk with you today. It's been my pleasure. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. Stick with us just for a moment, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been the legendary Ron Rudat, Joseph Bruen here, the All Access Entertainment Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.